Hello my friends and welcome back. It is Wednesday my dudes and we travel immediately to the vicinity of Belgorod where Russian units are practicing their swimming. They're taking swimming lessons. They are forced swimming lessons forced by the Ukrainians who blew up the Belgorod Dam, and here we have a Russian soldier saying that their position is fully underwater. I'm so happy to see this, because I remember these videos from Kherson, from Zaporizhia, where the power plant dam was blown up and huge areas, tens of thousands of Ukrainians with their homes were underwater. I'm not a revengeful person, but you know, as I said in previous video, a huge part of me really enjoys this payback. The water spilled out, overflowed the banks. The entire road is flooded. Here, cars stuck in the water. This is the Russian loaf truck, and you can see it was driving on the road. In a few hours, this water rose like that, so really fast. And suddenly, everything is mud and water. It cannot move until this water goes away. It will get stuck, or it's already stuck. Unable to move. Karma is a bitch. Well, in this one, we can see Russians still have to supply their positions near Shebekino, for example, or Vovchansk. Well, these areas have been flooded, and it doesn't always mean that everything is underwater. If water level rises a few centimeters, already some areas would just turn into muddy boglands. It doesn't mean that they're fully drowned or anything, but just mud will be so much more soft. The poor condition of the crossing. Look at that. Was it the same yesterday? No, I thought maybe there was a hit. I don't understand. No, the hit was at the crossing. Maybe some kind of tank. Here we go. My feet are soaking wet. Come on. And now I bring to you the final video. Hey, this should make your Wednesday. If you don't feel good after this, then perhaps you should go to a doctor, because it definitely is going to make my Wednesday. That's our dugout. Our dugout was flooded after the dam was breached by the Ukrainians. Well, that's karma. The Ukrainians flooded everything. We pulled out what we could. Everything is wet. Who knows how to dry it? That's how it is. Hey, how do you say in English? You reap what you sow? Well, the Russians sowed the seed of terror by blowing up dam in southern Ukraine and flooding tens of thousands of Ukrainians' homes. And now, 2 years later, this payback is so sweet, I can almost, I can taste it. It's nice. And the Russians really deserve it. Flood their entire army, I say. Hey, but let's just look at the satellite image. How much is really flooded? See these two little red arrows here. This is the Belgorod Dam. To the north of this photo, this is the big reservoir that has formed when the water is not passing through the dam. And now the dam is flooded, destroyed, I mean. You can see how much area is blue downstream from this river. Nothing blue. Everything blue, and this is not here but to the lower right side of this photo. This is where we start to see Russian forward positions. I'll let you know the units in a bit, bear with me. But this is Russian trenches right here in these areas. Actually, they are just knee deep in water, and below that water is also knee deep mud, so it's beautiful. I hope they know how to swim. Actually, I hope they don't know how to swim, and I hope they are now sleeping with the fishes. By the way, if you think a little mud doesn't hurt nobody, well, here it is, my friends. A little bit of water, a little bit of mud. This is exactly what happened to the Operation Barbarossa when they invaded the Soviet Union. It was these very same fields, the fields of northern Ukraine and the mud fields, when the November rain started. German panzers fell into this mud, just like this occupier truck right now, just falling. It can go fully into it. It's not like, oh, it's just stuck. No, it can submerge fully underground into this mud. The smart is no joke. This is Rasputitsa in Ukraine. But let's see specifically which units have taken the brunt of the hit, the Russian units. We're talking about 128th, 116th, the 68th and 136th, and the 44th Army Corps. They are the ones that have the units on occupied Ukraine. Right here, the red area is the occupied area. And this is the reservoir here, and the blue arrows show it really nice. There are some side rivers here that flow into the main Siversky Donets River, and it flows down south. And now all of this area next to this little blue line here, to both sides, is wet, muddy, flooded, and Russian food and ammunition, everything is just floating on top or just fully submerged. It's beautiful. Very nice. Also, let's look at the video of the reservoir that has now emptied or is in the process of being emptied. It takes a lot of time. That's the Belgorod water reservoir. Water has, about one day ago, it was reported that water had dropped 1 meter from this reservoir, which is a lot in one day. And there's more water to be flown out from here. So Russians have some more wet dreams coming there. I don't know, okay. Forget about that one. Now you know everything about the Belgorod surprise. I will keep you posted in the next video also. Now, my friends, I want to read you Buy Me a Coffee monthly members. We have 3 new names, and I guarantee your ears will bleed after you hear them. Holy Tark Teatk. Thank you for supporting the channel. Lina Vatktok. Thank you, Lina Vatktok. And finally, Mike. Nice and easy. If you like my channel, then Buy Me a Coffee link is in the description below. Now, my friends, I'll read you the best comment from previous video. And in the previous video, we were talking about Moscow air defense rings. You can see them right here on the screen. This was not leaked, but Russians themselves have taken photos of each and every one of these positions. There are S-300s, S-400s and Pantsir S systems in different vicinity of the Moscow city center. Now, the previous video's best comment is about that. Let me read it to you. Bert Loretto 9507 says, and brace yourself, it's juicy. Artur, I just correct you on the air defense ring. The yellow dots, they are vodka stashes. The secondary ring is toilet paper, and that, as we know, with any disaster, is the essential stash. The center is simply poop, waiting to be flushed like a giant geyser. Love your work, you speak my language from down under. Oh, you're from Australia. Well, Australians have always fought with the Europeans on First World War, Second World War, showing their insane bravery and battle readiness. So thank you for fighting with us right now, Australians. So yeah, you can see the vodka stashes and the poop on this photo. Okay, let's get serious. Jokes are over. Now let's get into Russian economy and news inside Russia in general. The fuel crises have become so catastrophic in Russia that Kremlin, with Putin of course, have decided to start seizing oil and gas and petrol stations and these smaller businesses about distributing oil products. They have started seizing them to control them themselves and enforce limitations like 10 liters per person or no jerry cans at the gas stations. What they also have done in the Kremlin is eliminating import duties on gasoline. So what this does, it makes it easier to import gasoline products from outside of Russia. But what it also does, is take away one of Russian revenue sources, which is tax upon imported gasoline products. As I mentioned, they also forcibly seize major energy company from an oligarch, as Ukraine's strikes on refineries created a fuel crisis that emergency measures can't solve. Also, they're trying to bring Belarus into it to help balance out the fuel deficits in Russia. The rail deliveries from Belarus surged fourfold to 49,000 tons in September. When that failed to stabilize supplies, Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak backed removing import duties on gasoline from Asia. When market fixes still didn't work, Moscow seized Oblokum Energo, a Urals-based energy giant from billionaire oligarchs. A political risky move, since oligarchs are a part of a network that runs Russia. So it's like cannibalism. Russia is run by Putin, FSB, and the oligarch system, the Siloviki. If you hit that, if they start to eat themselves, if the Kremlin attacks these oligarchs, they attack their own foundation. These oligarchs are powerful. Some of them have their own private armies like the Wagner did. Prigozhin was an oligarch. He had his own private army. Gazprom has his own private army. Different oil companies and different oligarchs have their own armies. You don't want to make them angry. How do you make them angry? You take these companies, you just seize them. So, as a form of cannibalism have started in Russia. The effects are visible on the ground. Belgorod gas stations banned jerrycans. Gazprom pumps in Volgograd report no supply. Occupied Donetsk shows long queues as fuel disappears. And now I want to show you one of the perfect illustrations of how this fuel crisis affects the Russian military. You might think, oh, it's only the civilians. No, it's the military also. Because in Russia and both Ukraine also, military units, they buy their own stuff, including gasoline from gas stations, with their own money. It's not ideal, but that's how it is, also in Ukraine. Russian soldiers say that the army isn't issuing them with fuel for combat operations. They are trying to buy it with their own money, but are struggling to obtain it in Donetsk because only coupons are now being accepted as payment due to the ongoing fuel shortage. In a series of short videos filmed at an RTK gas station in Donetsk city, a man records a gas station attendant refusing his request to buy 120 liters of gasoline, despite his pleas of military necessity and people outside selling gasoline illicitly for cash. There's a huge black market emerging in Russia for gasoline now, and people dilute it with water, so you buy it very expensively for cash and then it destroys your engine. So it's bad and bad. And the soldier is saying, look, this is needed for soldiers, for combat missions, for evacuees, for the evacuation of the wounded. I need 120 liters of gasoline. And the gas station worker says, I can't give you fuel that I don't have. I have some fuel, but you can only have it by coupons. By order of gas station management. So not even the Russian soldiers can buy gasoline for money from the gas stations. This is how bad it is. It directly affects the Russian military and their efficiency. Without further ado, let's get right into the targets that Ukraine hit inside Russia, deep inside Russia, in the Russian rear areas. Nice. Tonight. This all happened tonight. What a night. Oil refineries and not only are burning across Russia again. Last night, drones carried out massive attacks on more than 10 regions of the Russian Federation. Targets included, and they are juicy, let's get into them. NS oil refinery in the Ulyanovsk region. Photo number 1, you can see it right here. Now this one is a few hundred kilometers from the Ukrainian border and it's a smaller refinery. Actually, it's very small, but it's still a refinery. According to open sources, the plant specializes in oil processing and preparation for refining. Its total production capacity is about 30,000 tons of oil per year. The second target was in the Republic of Mariel. It was the Mari refinery in the village of Tabashino. The plant produces straight-run gasoline, diesel, and marine fuels, fuel oil, and other petroleum products. Mari refinery accounts for up to 70% of the Republic's foreign trade. Now, Russia is supposed to be a federation, meaning it's a compilation or combined small republics or oblasts, one of them being Mari Oblast, which is actually a Finno-Ugric tribe, language, and a culture group. Mari people have their own language, own culture. They are not Slavic. They're occupied by Russia. They have their own religion even. They're one of the very few pagans inside Russia. They're all Christianized, but they still perform their pagan rites every now and then. So yeah, the Mari people inside Russia, Mariel, where this refinery was struck, they're culturally and languagely more connected to us Estonians and the Finns, because we're all Finno-Ugric, than the Russians. They live in Russia. They're occupied by Russia. They are forced to speak Russian, but they have their own Finno-Ugric Mari language, which Kremlin is trying to kill out fully. A little culture lesson here. And the third target was Budenovsk, Stavropol region, a chemical plant. Stavrolen was hit. The facility is one of Russia's main producers of polyethylene and polypropylene, so plastic products. And there's some dark videos of light in the distance, nothing interesting to watch. I'll not focus on that too much. But they're all juicy targets. But now, even more of a juicy target. Let me show you a map. This is a map of Russian-occupied Tokmak, which is a logistical supply hub in southern Ukraine. And Mariupol is a bit east from here. This is a railway going through Tokmak. And this railway, the black line here, is incredibly important for Russian army, the rear logistics of Russian army. And it's responsible for a big portion of it, for the logistics to work. Each red dot here is Ukrainians attacking a Russian logistics train. For the last 2 months, this railway did not work because a Russian fuel train blocked it, because it was struck. And now yesterday Russians got this important logistics line working again, and they put a train on top of it. Let's look at the train. It has active armor and ERA blocks. How do you call them? ERA blocks on top of it to protect from drones. It has drone netting, and it was pushing, the locomotive was pushing another tank, another car in front, just to have it like a minesweeper or something. If anything explodes, the locomotive doesn't take the hit. But still, the Ukrainians, the saboteurs inside southern occupied Ukraine, they blew up the tracks right when the train was on it. And you can see the aftermath right here. I love it. I love it so much. Like 2 months Russians were fixing this rail line. And immediately, if they put it into use, it's kaboom. Freedom being spread on this rail line. Bada bim, bada boom. No more Russian logistics train. The photos speak for itself. Now I'll show you quite an interesting video. Russians themselves published a video bragging about their new infantry fighting vehicle or armored personnel carrier, whatever you want to call it, because whatever it is, the new Terminator vehicle. That's what they call it, the Terminator. Honestly, it's more like an infantry fighting vehicle. It has these crazy machine guns, dual barrel, big caliber machine guns that shoot a lot of bullets per second. I don't even know how many, but a lot. But I want to show you how the barrels work and compare it to almost half a century old American infantry fighting vehicle. Check it out. Here is the Russian Terminator. Look at that barrel warp. Hey, I'm no gun expert. I'm no weapons expert. I don't know the detailed physics. But what I know is that when you shoot, the effects, the blowback, the kickback, whatever it is, it should not vibrate like that, because if one bullet goes straight like that, the second one will go fully to the side. Look at that. The second one will go here, the first one goes here. I think the area of fire with this weapon is not a pinpoint, it's just an area right in front of the machine. One goes to the sky, one goes to the ground. It has to be massively unprecise. It has to miss the target. I mean, look how much the barrels move and warp. Look at that. And now here is almost a half a century old American infantry fighting vehicle, Bradley. Look at the barrel. Don't move at all. It's precise as hell. This Bushmaster cannon, whatever you call it, this is doing so much damage to the Russians. I mean, you all see the video when it destroyed a T-90, a full main battle tank of the Russian army. T-90, one of the newest ones. And this half a century old, what is it, 20mm or 30mm, correct me here, took it out with 30 seconds. It's crazy. So yeah, the Russian Terminator ain't got nothing on the American Bradley. Now, my friends, let's travel to Sevastopol, the Russian-occupied port of Crimea. Here they were building, actually, since 2020, this thingy has already been commissioned. They built one of the biggest floating cranes in the world. The lift capacity of this floating crane is 450 tons. It's called the BK700. That's the version, and the name was Grigory Brosyankin. So what happened to this crane? I'm glad you asked. Look at the video. It capsized. Just like that. Turned into a submarine. Who's calling me? It's a submarine now. One of the most heavy lifting floating cranes in the world, built by the Russians, is now submarine next to the flagship Moscow, decorating the bottom of the Black Sea, joining the submarine fleet. And it was pretty bad because there's 20 injured and 2 casualties. 2 people actually died while inside when it capsized, because there's people inside these hulls and capsized. So it's really bad. It's a very Russian thing to happen. How horrible can you be at building stuff? But enough about that. Enough about Russians being horrible at building stuff. Let's get to the country who actually knows how to build machines, and that's Germany. I want to introduce you German 45th Tank Brigade, which will be deployed permanently in Lithuania. Not only that, but the Lithuanians have built a stationary base for that brigade. Not a temporary one, but they actually built out an entire infrastructure, an entire army base. It cost them like 1.7 billion euros for a small Baltic nation of Lithuania. This is a massive investment. But they want that brigade on their land, the 45th German Panzer Brigade. Sounds scary? It is. Look at the video.
Kameradinnen und Kameraden. Sie bauen hier gerade etwas auf.
Look at this. This is the Gediminas Tower of Lithuania, and this is the German Lion. Correct me here if I'm wrong, but this is the unified logo of the 45th being in Lithuania, and it's in this barrel where this fire is brewing. It's just awesome. And this is the official video from the 45th Brigade of Germany, Panzer Brigade, and they used Lord of the Rings music in the background, hint to the orcs of Russia, to the orcs of Sauron, which is Putin. So there are plenty of hints here, and the video is made very much in the same style like Azov Battalion used to make them and still are making them. So there are so many connections, so many hints, and I get goosebumps here because, you know, maybe the Germans are waking up. I think a lot of countries in the world are a bit scared right now.
Wir bauen hier gerade etwas auf, was Bestand haben wird. In einigen Jahren wird man sagen können, diese Brigade, sie hat Maßstäbe gesetzt. Im Aufbau, in der Ausbildung, in der Einsatzbereitschaft.
This is, by the way, the very same general who 2 years ago, 1.5 I think it was, when Ukrainians penetrated into Kursk with German panzers. This was a general who took that information to the German public in German TV, and it was a German general talking about panzer advancements in the Kursk area with the map. It was such a flashback, man. If you know what I mean, if you know, you know. German panzers in Kursk. And this information is being explained to you by a German panzer general on a map that hugely says Kursk on it. So, takes me back.
Ich will, dass wir hier mit dieser Brigade erfolgreich sind.
If I was a Russian soldier right now, I'd be needing adult diapers after watching this video.
Dass wir sie kriegstüchtig ausbilden und dass sie siegen können, wenn es darauf ankommt.
I love this video, and I hope German army makes many more of these. I love it, I welcome it, and Germany, wake up. By the way, what's the role of the 45th German Panzer Brigade? Glad you asked. The brigade's deployment is as a direct enhancement of Alliance forward defense model. Its presence significantly reduces the Alliance response time in the event of a crisis, and at the same time improves the Alliance deterrence capability through robust permanent forward positioning of combat-ready forces. Okay, in human language I'll tell it to you. You all know the Suwalki Gap. These panzers will make sure Belarus and Russia will never connect to Kaliningrad through the 80-kilometer Suwalki Gap. These panzers will destroy the horde, the Russians who are supposed to take the Suwalki Gap. There is a German panzer brigade defending this gap now. That's their position, that's their goal. Germany's 45th Armored Brigade will eventually comprise approximately 4,800 troops and around 200 civilian staff, anchored by units such as the 122nd Armored Infantry Battalion and the 203rd Tank Battalion, equipped with modern Puma infantry fighting vehicles and Leopard 2A7 main battle tanks respectively. The brigade embodies NATO's evolution toward higher readiness, mobility and lethality. And these German panzers will be in between Kaliningrad and Russians in Belarus, close to the Suwalki Gap. There you have it. Alright, we got to the end of the video. Congratulations. And I want to leave you with something positive. See, Russians are bombarding anything that gets attention in the public media, because they want every media article to publish about how horrible things they do. That's their media campaign. So they recently focused on zoos. Yes, the animals. Cities close to the front line where they could, they bombarded the zoos, trying to kill the animals. So, the animals raise up a lot of empathy in people, so news articles would talk about it. But Ukrainians in a specific zoo managed to save a camel. And in this video, right next to it, this Ukrainian unit is extinguishing a fire in their infantry fighting armored personnel carrier, and right next to it there's a camel with a car that has a drone jammer on it. They saved a camel from the zoo. I'm glad. I'm so glad about this. This camel has been saved to live another day, to fight another day. And right here they're extinguishing at M1113. Maybe. It's such a bizarre video, but I'm glad the camel was saved. My friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here with me. If you like my channel, subscribe to it, because half of you are not subscribed, and definitely join Buy Me a Coffee monthly membership. I will be back for you on Friday with another update. Until then, Slava Ukraini, and bye bye.